Hello and welcome to the show. For this week's FailRace versus the community, we were to go racing with A-Class cars from the 90s. Our first race at the Catalunya full circuit. A very quick start from a blue Corvette on the outside here, but couldn't quite pull it up in time. Neither could the Nissan that the camera is following here. Both taking to the escape road at turn 1, the runoff area at turn 1. It would be a Mustang that would get to the lead as they're almost 3 wide further back. The Corvette, I think, slips down into 5th place. The Nissan in a bit of trouble out wide. It would be a Silvia up the inside towards the next corner. It's a difficult place, actually, to get overtakes done. This is quite a long corner, not the biggest of braking zones, but the Silvia would get the pass completed. Now there is a BMW having a look around the outside, not quite going to fit through there. The forward is a bit slow over the corner, backs the Silvia up. I don't think the Silvia quite realised there was a car trying to squeeze up his inside. The wide body car not quite able to make the pass stick there, as there's plenty of busyness going on further back, as you would expect on this opening lap. At the top of the hill, the Silvia is trying to carry as much speed as he possibly can, but is struggling a little bit against this competition as we head towards the hairpin. It's a big out-braking moment from the 240 all the way around the outside to get the pass done. A good pass to go around the outside of the hairpin is not an easy one to pull off, and that would put the Nissan sort of hot on the heels of the Mustang. For me, I was not so lucky with my grid position. In fact, in all of these races, I think the highest I started was about 18th place. My Corvette, though, was very, very fast indeed. So I was making my way up through the pack, although having slightly tagged the back of the BMW, we were both slow off the corner. The Alpine was coming to join in. There's Escort Cosworth having a look. I get a mega run on the outside of the corner. Nowhere to really go other than shove the Corvette through the middle. It's 3 wide towards the next turn, but it would work out for my C4. It was one of those slightly dicey moments. I had such a good run, I wanted to make the most of it. Just sort of threw the car through the middle. There was enough of a gap, and it would stick. The BMW now stuck trying to fend off from that Alpine. The Alpine, very quick through the corners, but struggling a little bit in terms of straight line speed. The Escort is there having a look around the outside, although those are a little bit too much. It is off onto the AstroTurf. At the front of the field, and, well, the lead 2 would continue to fight. The BMW in 3rd, not that far behind, although they would start pulling a little bit on the rest of the field. Down towards turn 1, the Nissan having a look around the outsides, not quite going to find the space to get a pass done there. The Mustang actually ran a little bit wide, but in running wide, it was enough to block off the run of the Nissan. And again, trying to sneak up the inside. There was just about the Nissan width to go for, but couldn't quite carry the speed enough to do it, although with a better exit, would then get up the inside for the next corner. Again, the more these two fight, the quicker the BMW is going to catch them. You get stuck going side by side for too many corners, and suddenly the cars behind will gain massively. In fact, now the M3 is very much in the fight. Very close between the Mustang and the 240, but the Nissan would get a better exit out of the corner, able to run a little bit away down the next short straight. This group of cars that I'd managed to escape were fighting rather vigorously for positions. Aston Martin Vantage in the group, Ferrari, Testarossa, BMW, the Alpine and Escort all fighting over at this stage what was sort of the lower parts of the top 10 and just outside the top 10. It's almost 2 by 2 towards the next corner. The Escort this time stuck being the one trying to go round the outside. Does get the move done on the BMW. The Alpine is up ahead having a look for a way past the Testarossa, but there's no real way through towards the next corner. And again, this all helps the Aston Martin. The more those two cars up ahead fight, the better off the Aston will be. And the Vantage had got a serious amount of straight line speed as they crest over the hill, although yeah, struggling a little bit more with having to deal with some of the faster corners. For me, well, I was running out of lap times to make my way forward. While I think my Corvette was, in terms of lap speed, one of the faster cars here, perhaps not quite the very fastest, but it certainly was a very competitive car. I just ran out of time to make my way up through the pack. But I was coming up against a Holden as we headed on to the final lap that I definitely wanted to find a way past. I was going to have to do it the hard way, though. As we head through turn 3, the Holden takes the inside line. I'm stuck trying to go around, a very long way around at turn 3. Still can't get the move done. The Holden with good acceleration off of the turn, and I'm still held out wide for turn 4. While the Holden, yeah, might have had some good drive off of the corners, it was not quite able to match the grip of the Corvette. I couldn't get around the outside of turn 4. Turn 5, we're again going round the outside. Third corner in a row, the Corvette is stuck on the outside. A little bit of a slide, a little bit of a wiggle across the curb. Still, I am not giving up on this position. Now, all of this fight as we go for the 4th corner in a row with the Corvette on the outside, eventually get the drive to complete the pass. All of that fight cost me any chance of catching up to the 2 cars ahead, but brilliant few corners. Unfortunately for the poor Holden, ran wide at the top of the hill, across the sand, and lost a place to a BMW M5. Now, at the front, the Nissan, having got to the lead, would pull away. However, disaster would strike for the poor car with internet issues, and on the very final lap would lag out. You can see in the background the gap that it's got over the Mustang and the BMW. Not the largest gap, certainly, that we have ever seen in a race, but fairly comfortable on the final lap. But yeah, disconnection at a rather important time. So I guess kind of an honourable victory for the for the Nissan, if not an actual one. Further back, the final lap was proving plenty eventful for other cars as well. The Alpine and Aston Martin continue to fight to the very end. Again, you could see the speed at which the Aston pulls away when we get to a straight, and the speed at which the Alpine catches when they get to a corner. The Vantage will be able to outrun the Renault down the back straight. However, under brakes, the GTA Le Mans is so much better. It's a brilliant cutback, almost a textbook cutback, if you would like, from the red car there to get the position at the hairpin. A very, very nice overtake on this final lap to move up a position over that Aston Martin. However, for our leaders, well, it would be a little bit of a gift for the Mustang. He did have to hold on against the BMW. It was a rather quick car, and they were both being gradually caught by the Ferrari F50 in third. I think the F50 probably the fastest lap would go to the Ferrari, but he too ran out of time to catch up to these guys as they round the final corner. The BMW is right there, but there's nowhere to stick the car. There's nowhere you're going to be able to get that overtake done. Victory would go to the Mustang, BMW second, Ferrari back in third. I believe the Silvia fourth, Corvette fifth, and my Corvette would end up in 6th place over all of that. So for the podium, Stinty Boys Mustang would claim victory. Time to Die Zombie in second, with Muri's Ferrari in third. Although, yeah, the victory kind of belongs to the Nissan, really, if it wasn't for slightly dodgy internet. Race number 2, when we move on to the Mugello circuit. Again, I was struggling with an unhelpful starting slot, although my Corvette got off the line massively quickly, able to make up a good few positions before we even got down in towards this first corner. Now, it's a fairly wide first corner down here. There's still a couple of cars got together, but on the most part, you can fit 2 and 3 wide through there fairly comfortably. This Falcon that we are following at the moment moves his way up into, or just about up into 4th. The BMW continues to fight it. It's very, very close between the pair of them through what are fairly high-speed corners. Again, you have a little tag at those sort of places, can end up in all sorts of trouble for a car. The Nissan up ahead still fighting with a Skyline, while an NSX would enjoy an early little bit of a margin. The Skyline falling to 3rd as the Falcon would chase down. As I said, I had again started a fair way down the order, but with a decent first lap, staying out of trouble, I managed to propel myself up into the big BMW fight. 3 different M3s were all together. I say 3 different M3s. We had the silver car with the wide body kit out in front. We had an E30 M3 ahead of me, and we had a non-wide body kit M3 behind, with my Corvette being probably the quickest of the lot, but you get stuck in these little traffic. And I had to be aware because the blue car behind me was pretty damn rapid as well. If I go too aggressive, I try something too stupid in getting past the E30, that would then cost me a place. I'd have 2 cars to try and overtake. So there was certainly an element of patience for the Corvette, not going too bonkers in terms of trying to make my way forward. In an attempt to undo the wrongs of the first race, the 240 was, again, doing well here at Mugello, proving to be a very, very quick car. Coming up against an NSX as they rise up through the Nissan, giving it a little bit of a hurry-up bump across the hill. It's to the inside, and the NSX just doesn't quite have the speed to hold that one off, although the NSX does get a very, very good run out of the chicane, although the next corner is not a great overtaking spot. It's a blind braking zone, and not a particularly big braking zone at that. The NSX sort of shows the nose up the inside, and sure enough, the 240 does end up out wide in a little bit of bother as we head through the S's, but the Honda has not quite got the acceleration, not quite got the speed to really fight with the 240 in all of that. I would continue in the big BMW fight for a little while in this race. As you can see, that the field sort of did spread out a little bit more than we have seen in some of the previous races. My Corvette was proving pretty good overall car. It was certainly keeping up with just about everything in terms of straight line speed, and then able to carry a lot of speed around the turns as well. Probably one of my better A-Class cars, I'll be honest. This C4 down towards turn 1. The E30 was going to go defensive. Going around the outside of cars hadn't been a problem for me in the previous race, so sure enough, outside of turn 1, that will work for me. Although I couldn't quite get the pass fully completed, have to leave some space on the inside. In the end, the E30 bounced across the grass on the inside too much. It was a shallow line, slightly wonky line, made himself a little bit too slow off of the corner, and that would put me safely clear. And I'd managed to sort of, well, the blue car had got stuck. The blue M3 had got stuck in the fights behind, and managed, so yeah, made a nice little gap for myself. Further back, there was a fair amount of tussling going on in the latter half of this race. Dodge Viper trying to make a move on a Maserati Gibble. Yeah, a couple of Gibbles did turn up in this one. The Maserati was struggling a lot in terms of a corner speed, but it was monstrously fast in a straight line, which meant overtaking it was a little bit on the difficult side. As we head into the final corner, the Viper tries to get brave around the outside, but in doing so actually opens himself up to an attack from the skyline. It's very, very close side by side as they leave that final corner. Now just the drag race down towards turn 1, and this, you know, helps the Maserati out. He would have been potentially under threat from the Viper, but the skylines slowed the Dodge down. In fact, they've slowed both of themselves down, and now the Maserati can really make the most of his straight line speed and run off into the distance by the time they get towards turn 1. For me, having cleared the little BMW brigade, my Corvette was flying. It wasn't long before I was up to the back of 4th place, a Mazda MX-5, and trying to find a way past. The Mazda, I was expecting to be massively quick through the corners and me be able to out-drag it as soon as we came to the straights. Through the turns, however, the Corvette could keep out. And again, it was around the outside for the first part of the chicane, kind of slide the car through on the second part of the chicane to get the pass done. The MX-5 was no slouch when it came to the straights, however. The final corner, and the Mazda will look to go around the outside, wasn't quite going to be able to do it, while the BMW brigade are busy changing positions as well. As we leave that final corner, this is where I had initially been expecting just to be able to power past and vanish off into the distance. But the way that MX-5 was built, it was, yeah, absolutely neck and neck with the Corvette all the way down towards turn 1. I think it does just start running out of steam by the time we get to the braking zone, and I have got the preferred line in the C4. Mazda does get a little bit of a better sort of mid-corner speed, but nowhere to really go with it. At the front, and the troubles from Catalonia would be solved for the Nissan. Having got the lead early on, would be able to drive away from the rest of the field, and no lag-outs on the final lap. Fastest lap would be very, very close between my Corvette and this car. It would have been very interesting to see the pair of them together on track, battling as it was. Yeah, I was way too far back in terms of track position. But yeah, a good drive from the Nissan to this time get victory, and Pega taking the win. Blazer with the NSX would get second, while Static Sheep would just hold on to third with that Falcon. My Corvette was catching pretty damn fast on the final lap. For our third and final race, well, the replay data is invalid, so we're having to go for the first person perspective. Again, 19th on the grid for me this time around. However, one of the best opening laps I think I have ever done in this. So we get a couple of cars off the start line, a good launch for the Corvette. As we head up towards turn 1, it is a little bit crazy through all of this. I'm managing to keep myself out of trouble as a Mustang Civic, and I think it was an NSX, they cause issues for one another. That's me up into 11th place as 300ZX gets slightly tangled with a Porsche, ends up out wide, slows down the Alpine. Again, I'm in the right place at the right time to make the most of that opportunity. 9th place now for the Corvette. 10 positions already. We've not even finished half of the opening lap. BMW gets a big slide. I'm going to pounce and take that one as well, up into 8th place. The Jag up ahead, matching my Corvette in terms of straight line speed. Now, it is fairly busy at this stage. You try to pick a place to put your car. Do you go to the inside? Do you try and go around the outside of some vehicles? I'm going to the outside. Doesn't really work. I would have been better off following the Jag, but you never quite know in these situations as we now accelerate down the long back straight. The Alpine behind me I know is no threat with its slight lack of straight line speed. The Evo here is struggling a little bit in terms of speed as well. I'm quicker than both the Evo and the Porsche. That will be a 6th place. 19th to 6th on the opening lap as we break down in towards the chicane for the first time. Porsche has a look around the outside. It does give me a little bit of a love tap on the back. Managed to keep control of the Corvette. Yeah, a pretty damn awesome first lap for the C4. Little bit unsure, first time attacking that final corner at racing speed. You know, not quite sure how much I can and can't get away with in this car. Unfortunately, the brilliant start wouldn't last. Well, I end up, I'll get up into a 5th or by the second lap. The Mustang was very, very fast in a straight line. Much more power-built car than mine. As you get into the braking zone, I don't think Mustang gets a little bit of wheel spin across the crest. I have to suddenly change direction. I just can't get it slowed down in time. And between the Mustang and the Gibble, we end up in trouble on the outside of the track and having to take a detour to avoid rejoining the circuit in a bad place. Cost a lot of positions. Dumped me all the way back down into 12th. It's one of those unfortunate moments. The Mustang in a little bit of trouble heading towards the braking zone. I made the wrong decision. If I dove to the inside, I'm not sure. Could have quite got the car stopped because the whole, swerving and then trying to brake all at once, you just can't get it worked. Unfortunately, yeah, it was me and the poor Maserati that would come off a little bit worse from all of that. I would then get the pass done quite quickly on the Gibble as we went up through the top of the hill. So yeah, after a brilliant start, it was not quite to be. Although, that being said, the good news, certainly in terms of this video anyway, is that I was involved in a massive and rather good fun battle through a large part of the mid-race. Me versus another C4 Corvette. Mine slightly faster in a straight line. The red car, that little bit better through the corners, although yeah, these two fairly similarly built. Found myself in a very, very familiar situation, trying to go around the outside of somebody as I had done all day, although this one was a little bit tougher when our cars are very, very evenly matched, but it's slightly in favour of the red car through the corners. Of course, that does mean slightly in favour of me when we get to the straight, and having managed to hold it around the outside. Like, the drive that I could get off the outside of the corners with this Corvette was really, really something. Made overtaking a bit easier than it normally would. And I'm on the inside as we head into the chicane. I can get my car across cleanly, but too much speed through the second part puts me with a wheel on the grass. Big sideways moment for the car, and that's just enough to slow me down. The red Corvette will be through. Now, he's on a slightly wonky line through turn 1, so we're both slower there. Now, this is all helping the BMW up ahead. The more we are fighting, we're really slowing one another down here at this stage. We're really, really not helping each other. Through turn 1, I can get a good exit, but there's nowhere to really go. And at the top of the hill, too wide is a rather risky maneuver. Throw it across the curb a little bit. Again, I've got a lot of speed here, but there's just nowhere to really use it. These corners are fast. There's a minimal amount of braking zone, and the Corvette ahead of me is very, very evenly matched. Runs a little bit wide on the exits, a little bit slow, and again, I've got that very, very good run. The red car is going to go defensive once more. We're doing exactly the same maneuver, trying to go around the outside. I'm a little bit further back, but I've got the... Again, the speed on the exit of the corner is where my car was really, really excelling, even with a wheel on the grass. In fact, I think perhaps with me being slightly wonky out wide with a wheel on the grass and having to, in some ways, concede the corner, meant I could cut back to the inside, go for that run on the exit, and again, I would be able to just out-drag the red C4. This time around, remembering the mistakes of the previous lap and not to push it too much on the second part. Defend into the first because I know he's got good brakes, he's got good handling in that car, but be smoother through the second part, and sure enough, that time we would get the pass completed, get the pass done safely, and then throw it around the final corner, risking wheel across the curve. Always risky, that final corner, but good fun nevertheless. Freed of our epic battle, it wouldn't be long before the pair of us would catch up to the BMW here. We knew that this 7th was going to be the best that either of us could do. The gap to the cars ahead was considerably further, even if we did have the performance. I had a wheel on the grass turning into the final corner, not the safest thing. Got it under control, got it to the inside as we headed on to the final lap, and I could get my car up the inside for turn 1. The BMW not giving up on that wider line, and you can make it stick around the outside at turn 1. It's not the toughest corner to do that, but it's not going to have the acceleration of the Corvette. I'm on the preferred line for the top of the hill. Keep everything neat and tidy. Don't put a wheel on the grass again. I've done a fair bit of that through all of this, and we would get that 7th place. Unfortunately, again, another race. I had a very, very quick car around it. Not sure I was quite as quick as the leader around here, but certainly could have and perhaps would have been a podium with the Corvette. Either way, for the podium, F1 Kieran would take victory with the BMW M5. Tim in 90's in second with the Twerk Stallion Mazda. Good drive to get that car up there. Muri in third again with the Ferrari. It's, yeah, it was one of those days for my Corvette where I had a car that was definitely capable of wins, and it just didn't quite all come together. Very, very low spots on the grid. It's tough to make your way through 19, 20 cars in races that are about 10 minutes long. It's very, very difficult to make your way up through them. In the one race where I did manage to get up quick enough, we then had a little mistake that lost all of that ground. I am very pleased with the Corvette, though. It is a hell of an A-class car. Will perhaps be certainly one of my go-to A-class cars now. It was a lovely car to drive, a great combination of straight-line speed, cornering, brakes, a very, very good overall car. So yeah, I'm happy with the vehicle, just the races never quite panned out. It will join my B-class Mercedes, the 300 SLR, as one of my fastest cars to not win a versus the community race yet. I'll probably use the Corvette again at some point. That, though, is going to be it for this week's. The next versus community is going to be on Thursday, the 1st of February. We're going to go racing with B-class cars that are using flat engines, so flat twins, flat 4s, 6s, 12s, etc. If you want to sign up and take part in that, you can via our forums. There'll be a link in the description. Find the FailRace versus the community part, and yeah, you can sign up in there. That, though, is going to be it from me. Thank you very much for watching, and until next time, goodbye.